Welcome to the Nourished Momma podcast. I am your host, Anna Robinson, certified nutritionist and wellness coach, plus fellow mama. This podcast is here to show you that you can live your healthiest, happiest, most vibrant life as a mama. Each week, I will be sharing different nutrition, lifestyle, and mindset hacks that are going to support you in your health journey. You can expect realistic and sustainable advice, plus strategies that can easily fit into your busy life as a mama. Because without a nourished mama, there can't be a nourished home. So if you are committed to creating a life filled with vibrance for you and for the ones you love most, then you are in the right place. So let's get into today's life-changing episode. Welcome to another episode of the Nourished Momma Show. I am so honored and excited to have Sarina joining us today. Sarina is a nutritionist and EFT practitioner. She has a huge passion for helping women to really understand themselves and work with their body rather than against it. She has so much incredible knowledge around nervous system health, which she will be sharing with us today. Sarina, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, and I'm so excited to be here and to chat all the things today and hopefully offer some little nuggets of support for all the mamas out there.
Oh, I'm sure you will. Can you tell us a little bit more about yourself and how did you get into the health and wellness space?
Yeah, it's been this gradual unfolding thing. I started in the area of psychology where I was just fascinated with especially women, like why we think the way we think and why we do what we do. Ended up getting 3/4 through the degree. I was 20 and I thought, no, don't want to do this anymore. And as I moved into the nutrition world, which I always wanted to be in, but I felt like people said, you're not going to make much money and whatever the jargon was back then. But I went into the nutrition space and I absolutely loved it. I felt so at home in that space. And I remember coming towards graduation, I was like, I don't really know what area I want to work in. And I'm a very curious person. So each little thing that happens in my life, I'm like, oh, I'll follow the breadcrumbs and find out a bit more about that. So towards the end of my degree, I was diagnosed with polycystic ovarian syndrome, PCOS. And I was shocked because I felt like I was doing all of the right things with my health and I was eating well and I was moving and I was looking after myself. And even after I had that diagnosis, I still thought I was taking all the supplements, but I just wasn't seeing these shifts or changes that I wanted. So I ended up finding a book on cyclical living, which some of the women here may have heard, called In the Flow by Alyssa Vitti.
Best book.
Oh my God.
Every
Best
woman
book.
needs to read that book.
Every
It is
woman
literally
needs to read
like
it.
a woman's Bible. And you know what I've always said as well? It's a book that I think they really need to start introducing in high school, especially women's high schools, girls' high schools. Because imagine we read that book when we were in our teens. How different would our life have played out if we just
Oh my
knew?
gosh. Yeah.
If we only just knew that information, it is so powerful and strong. Yeah, definitely a book every woman needs to read, and especially women with daughters.
100%. I would love, I'm voting for it to be on the school curriculum in Australia, 100%.
Yeah, definitely.
But when I started adopting these cyclical principles, you start tuning into your body, and I was looking into my menstrual cycle and what was happening, and it then opened this whole doorway into looking at myself as a whole and being like, okay, I actually think I'm a pretty stressed person. I'm a pretty overwhelmed person. We all have things that happen in our childhood and across our lives that kind of influence who we are. And I think cyclical living and understanding my cycle, it had so many benefits for me, and moving through symptoms of PCOS and healing parts of that. But then, yeah, realizing that I was this really overwhelmed kind of person who was stuck in freeze. And so many of the women that I was working with after university as well had all these hormone issues, and there was only so much that I could really do to support them with nutrition. And nutrition and supplements and lifestyle changes are amazing, but I started realizing that they're only taking me and them so far.
Yeah.
So came across EFT tapping through my mum, and she was like, oh, you should try one of these workshops. And I thought, this is so weird. And what are people doing? Like tapping on their face and their heads. But I did this workshop and I absolutely fell in love with it. I explained that before I did that workshop, I felt like I was constantly hovering 2 centimeters above the ground. And after it, it's, oh, this is what it feels like to have your feet on the ground. And so my practice just naturally moved from being in the nutrition space to now being in more of this nervous system space and helping women really connect and understand their bodies as a whole. And I think I got there purely out of curiosity. I never in a million years thought that I'd be working in this area or with women this way. So it's almost just unfolded.
It was definitely your calling, and we'll talk more about what EFT is soon. So don't
Yeah.
worry, you'll be able to hear all about that. But before we do that, and I know you've touched a little bit on this overwhelm and burnout, and we know that mums are more burnt out than ever before. Why do you think that is?
How much time have we got?
No.
We touched on this just before we started actually recording, but
Yeah.
mums these days are just holding so much. They're doing
Yeah.
so much, they're holding so much. There is this huge silent mental load that I don't think mums get enough credit for. And amidst having children, trying to work and still look after children, manage a career or manage a job. On top of that, we've then got social media and all these social commitments and friends and relationships, and we're trying to keep ourselves feeling healthy and good and keep it all together and the house tidy. There's just, even just listening to that list, like there's so much. And we're not really creating this time to switch off. And I've been reading Rushing Women's Syndrome by Dr. Libby Weaver, which is another amazing book.
Amazing book, yeah.
Another amazing book. But she talks about how our nervous systems have not developed yet to the capacity of how much stuff that we're holding. So our nervous systems are just constantly bombarded more than they ever have. And we're not in nature as much. We're not switching off as much. So you have all of these mums who are just juggling 1,000 things at once, which of course our bodies are going to feel burnt out. They're going to feel overwhelmed. Depending again how old your kids are, you might be doing all of that and then trying to fit in sport and all these extracurricular things. And we were talking about just before how, especially in Sydney, we're so lucky that there is a really big kind of wellness community and everyone is prioritizing wellness and feeding our children really good food. But I think there's then this really high expectation for mums to feed these kids the homemade nut milk or the homemade granola bars or making the seed crackers from scratch, which again is so amazing and so beautiful. And we want to nourish our children, but it adds such a huge expectation. And what I hear so much from the mums that I work with is there's almost like this secret mums out wanting to mum each other.
Yes,
And have
definitely.
the cleanest house and have the best food for their kids and show up on Instagram and be really fit and healthy and beautiful, which are all such amazing things, but it just adds so much pressure and so much overwhelm.
This builds up, the comparison builds up, the expectation builds up. There's just so many things that add to that nervous system overdrive and then, of course, leading to burnout. And burnout is so serious from a mental and from a physical perspective as well. And you would know as a nutritionist just the impact that burnout can have on our body. And this is why it has just never been more important to nourish and nurture our nervous system. Why is it so important to do this, and how does our nervous system impact both our physical and mental health at the same time?
It almost plays a role in everything that we're doing. Our nervous system it's at the center of our stress response.
Yeah.
And if it's dysregulated, if we're in this state of stress constantly, this state of overwhelm and burnout, our nervous system is in control of all the other systems in our body.
Yeah.
So long term, this is going to look like impacting our hormones and our reproductive health, impacting our digestion and the way that we're actually digesting our food, creating saliva to digest our food, breaking that down. This is going to result in gut problems, digestive problems, bloating, all of the things that so many stressed women experience. It's going to be impacting our mood and our sleep and our cravings. And even on top of that is our ability to hold and maintain relationships, whether that's with our friends, whether that's with our partner, whether that's with ourselves. And chronic stress, whether it's these really huge stresses or all of these micro stresses combined, you're exhausted. It creates inflammation, it can impact chronic pain, and it just makes doing everything that little bit harder. And so, on the kind of mental health side, if you're on high alert all the time and you're overwhelmed, I hear this from women and I explain it as like the 17 tabs open, maybe 30 for some women, but nothing's loading.
Yeah.
So, you're constantly in this state of, oh, I've got so many things to do, and the to-do list is so huge, but it's like you can't move, you can't do anything.
Yeah, you're stuck in this freeze state.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
you almost go into this shame spiral of, oh, I've got so much to do. Why can't I do it? Or why haven't I done it? Or how do I even start getting this done? It's exhausting to feel exhausted and to
Yeah.
feel overwhelmed. And the relationship that we have with our kids, where we're building these nervous systems. For little kids, we're teaching these kids how to feel regulated, teaching them how to feel calm, teaching them how to process their anger. So as a parent, our physical health and our mental health, our children are picking up on that. They're constantly feeling what our nervous system is feeling, watching us engage in these poor behaviors or poor habits. And if you want to be there for your kids and to be running around with them and exercising and moving, you want to have the energy and the capacity to show up for that.
Yeah, definitely. It all intertwines, and this is something that I always say is without a nourished mama, there can't be a nourished home. So when the next time you feel selfish or guilty for taking some time for you, for nourishing your own health, I want you to remember that, because it really is. We are, as mums, the heart of the home. Health and wellness stems from us. And again, it's not to add that pressure. It's to really understand that you shouldn't feel selfish or guilty to prioritize you. And when I mean prioritizing you, I don't mean checking into a spa, going for facials. It's the basic needs of health and wellness that most mums, unfortunately, have totally given up and seen as something to be so foreign. So it's little things like making yourself a nourishing breakfast at the same time as you're making your children a nourishing breakfast, going for a short walk around the block, little things like that are going to be able to support your nervous system in such an impactful way. And these are things that they're mandatory, really, but unfortunately mums have been led to believe that's not part of our life anymore for some reason. Society has made us feel selfish and guilty for prioritizing our own health, and that motherhood is all about sacrifice, when really should be the complete opposite, of that.
And the mother is, in terms of the nervous system impacting so many other parts of our body, I almost say that the mother and the matriarch of the house is almost like the nervous system of the house.
Yeah.
And as you said, when mum feels fed and nourished and regulated, and I just want to clear up as well that regulated does not mean that you are expected to always be calm and chill, happy and still. Regulated is your ability to have those highs and lows and get yourself back to the middle point. Because
control.
Yeah, absolutely. And as a mum, you will be tested by your children many times. And I don't have children yet myself. Based on the mums that I've worked with, I've got a little nephew who's 5, and he's really starting to push the boundaries of, hey, I'm my own person and you can't tell me what to do.
Yeah.
You're going to be tested as a parent. And so, again, that ability to regulate and come back to that baseline of, okay, I'm in check with my breath. I can feel my body, my feet are on the ground. I can handle this. It impacts your ability to keep the house together, like on an energetic level, keep everyone in the house regulated. And you're almost like, yeah, that nervous system that everyone else feeds off.
Yeah, definitely. And I know you've touched on this slightly, but what are some early signs of an overwhelmed and overstressed nervous system? Because I think a lot of people don't really understand that it's not always just related back to I'm stressed. There are so many signs, physical and mental, of an overstressed nervous system.
Yeah, the list is long, but I
Yeah,
think some of the main ones to look out for is this feeling, and you hear this a lot, but this feeling of tired but wired. It's
yeah,
like you feel tired, you feel like you can't catch onto a thought, you can't logically think about what's next, or what am I going to get at the grocery store, or how am I going to organize this at home. It's just this deep exhaustion, yet your body is still like, no, we're on alert, we need to go, we need to move forward.
yeah,
This might be if you're sitting down, you can't just sit and relax, constantly thinking about this next thing to do. Mood swings, irritability, feeling really snappy. I know that one of the mums I was working with, she was like, I'm so tired. And when my kids are in the living room playing with their toys and they're bashing their trucks together, it feels like my whole head is going to explode. I just want to yell at them to shut up. That is such a key sign of the system just being like, this is too much, we're too overloaded. And unfortunately, what I hear is the husbands cop a lot of that kind of snapping of, it's just too much, I can't.
yeah,
Um,
definitely. And
some other,
from a
where you
physical,
go.
and I was just going to say also from a physical perspective, there are a lot of signs that we can look out for as well when it comes to hormones, our gut health,
Mm.
all of that stuff as well.
Absolutely. How are you, if you do have your cycle back, if you haven't just had a baby, but are you getting your menstrual cycle monthly? What's happening with your periods? Are you having these horrific luteal phases where your PMS is awful? Is your bleed coming each month? Are you ovulating? What's happening with your digestion? Are you getting bloated after every meal? Are you feeling sick after every meal? Do you have no hunger? I see that a lot where women are really stressed. They're like, I just can't eat in the morning. I feel like I'm going to gag, or I'm just not hungry throughout the day. And then they're running off caffeine and fumes, or they're just craving sweet foods and salty foods and sugary foods because this is the nervous system being like, oh my God, I just need anything that's going to give me that quick little high, give me that quick little energy burst.
Yeah,
And it also shows up in our sleep.
yeah,
So, are you sleeping? Are you waking in a panic? Are
mm,
you waking up and you're so exhausted, you're like dragging yourself out of bed? Is there decision fatigue? Or is the thought of what to cook for dinner, oh my God, the world's about to end. I have no idea what I'm going to do for dinner.
these are all huge signs of
Huge.
the
Yeah.
driving your nervous system. Yeah,
Yeah. And then we see procrastination, we see perfectionism. It's a weird way that our body works where it's almost, I feel like I have no control over any of this, but it needs to be perfect.
yeah,
Washing needs to be done now or nothing's okay. The kids' toys need to be packed up now, otherwise it's the end of the world.
yeah,
Even people pleasing, saying yes to social events with friends when you just don't have the capacity, or adding in that extra play date for your second or third child when you just don't have the capacity. Then all of these things again start to build up where if you're spending days on end feeling overwhelmed or days on end feeling like it's just all too much, again, these are major red flags. Something in the system is off.
yeah, definitely. And I know you touched on this as well a little bit in terms of like with hubby, but you know, how your nervous system affects your family and the way you show up every day. And I think
Mm.
a huge part of that is the communication between your partner. And this all does really come down to the way our nerves are being managed throughout the day and how we communicate, how we express ourselves, our body language. So much of that is connected.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially when kids are young and they're highly reliant on often mum more than dad,
Yeah.
it can be really challenging for the relationship. And ways that I've heard this play out as well is mum's out touched. She's been with baby all day, or she's been with toddler all day. She's exhausted. Dad comes home and he like wants to give mum a cuddle or wants to be intimate, and she's like, "Get away from me! Like I just can't." And then it's really jarring for him because it's almost like, "Well, I really want connection," and
Yeah.
she's like, "I'm so overstimulated and exhausted," but they don't know how to say that to each other, and then it just creates friction. And she's like, "I need space," and he's like, "Hey, I would love a little bit more time with you or some kind of connection with you." And then we just get these fights and these arguments. And that is one of the huge challenges I hear in that early motherhood of that relationship dynamic. It's not necessarily that it's crumbling, but it is having major changes.
Yeah.
And the dads aren't to be forgotten here either. If they've received all of the attention from mum for a really long time and it's been the dynamic between the two of them, and there are these shifts where they're not getting as much attention, more of this attention's being put on the baby, and even the baby doesn't need dad as much yet. It's really hard for dads to figure out their place of, where do I fit into this and how can I be supportive? And again, when you're in that overwhelmed, exhausted, burnout state, it's really hard to then communicate what you need to your partner as well.
Yeah, exactly. So, what are some practical strategies you can give to mamas to help reduce the overwhelm and support their nervous system health realistically?
Yeah. You touched on this before, is having something for you. I think,
Mhm.
again, so much of our identity can get caught up in, I'm mum now,
Yeah,
and I'm solely responsible for this tiny human, all these tiny humans, that we really do forget about ourselves. But you, as mum, as caregiver, as the nervous system of this family, just having a practice for you is so important. And like you said, that doesn't mean going to the spa for the day or anything crazy. It could be 5 minutes in the morning of doing some box breathing where you're breathing in for the count of four, you're holding for the count of four, breathing out for the count of four, and then holding it for the count of four. It could be just the time you have in the shower of being like, oh, the way the water hits my body feels really good, and being quite present. It's creating these micro moments
yeah,
where you can, if your child is just sitting happily, peacefully eating, looking out the window for 2 minutes, just take that moment to be really present with your food as well. And I think one thing that's really helpful is the communication with your partner is, hey, can we schedule sometime over the weekend? You have the kids for an hour, so I get to do something for me, and
yeah,
vice versa.
yeah,
So
definitely.
that you're not constantly swamped all the time.
Yeah.
Um,
And this is the part that I tend to see a lot of as well is the communication side and advocating for yourself.
yeah,
I'm a true believer in that at the end of the day, the hard truth is that there is always time. And but the hardest part for women is not necessarily finding the time, it's finding the support for the time and advocating for themselves, going, I
yeah,
need this time, so I'm going to take it. And I think a lot of the time when we're in that overstressed state and overwhelmed, it's almost like we have this expectation on our partners and our family to make the time for us. And then if they don't magically make this time appear for us, we have this like resentment and anger. When
mm,
reality is that you need to make that time for you. You need to advocate for yourself and say, no, this is my time. I need this. I tell my partner, okay, so these are the days that I'm going to Pilates and I'm going to try and squeeze in these runs and jogs. Does
mm,
that work, with your time? So
mm,
we have to tag team. But I tell him, I don't expect him to make that time for me. So I think
yeah,
that is, I know sometimes that can be really hard to digest and hear, but I tend to see this happen a lot where it's that expectation that this time should just be made for you when, yeah, you definitely need to make that time for yourself.
Yeah. And your partner may not know what's happening for you.
That's right.
Your friends may not know what's happening for you.
Yeah.
Motherhood seems like this huge initiation into learning how to do almost everything differently because you
Mm,
have to communicate. You have to learn how to support yourself and look after yourself. And as you're saying, how to advocate for your needs and figure out, okay, what is it that I need right now to help me feel grounded, to help me feel nourished, to help me feel like I can clear my head for a moment. And on that thought as well, into what can really help reduce that overwhelm is normalizing that it's hard. I
yeah.
think back to my when we originally started chatting and mums trying to almost out mum each other. If you feel like you have to show up with your friends or to your family or to your partner that you've got this, that everything's cool and that you're handling it, but inside you're suffering,
Yeah.
you have that conversation with a friend and be like, hey, I'm really struggling with this, or another mum of, hey, this feels really hard. Not only do you have that release of, oh, I don't have to hold this all in and feel like I'm alone, but you actually give that person permission to be like, yeah, I'm actually really struggling with it as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And yeah, and so many of the mums that will come for tapping when we're sitting together, they're like, wow, this is the first time I've been able to share with someone and not feel judged or criticized, that this is way harder than I thought it would be, that my relationship is suffering,
Yeah.
that I'm not feeling good right now, that there's times where I don't even want to look at my kids because they're causing me so much frustration. And all of these sides of motherhood need to be honored. There are times where you may look at your kids and be like, wow, these are the cutest things ever. And other times when you're overwhelmed and it's the banging of the trucks or the footsteps running across the tiles or something, and it can just make your head want to explode. I think when we normalize that children are they're going to challenge us. They're really difficult. There's going to be times where it's really hard. We just have so much more love and compassion for ourselves and, understand that it's hard for other people as well.
Definitely. And
Yeah.
just the connection part of it is so important.
Yeah.
Sometimes I know when you're in that state, it can feel really difficult or can feel really scary to make this commitment to even just leave the house to go and have coffee or lunch with a friend. But you will always feel so good after that. So
Yeah.
making that prioritizing time for connection with other people that are in a similar place as you can really go such a long way for your nervous system. I found that really helped me. I was really lucky to have my kids before COVID.
Mm.
And I actually remember, so I don't know if they still do this, but we had mothers groups that were based on where you were located, so within the council or the area that you're located. And I remember when they first told me in the hospital, okay, we've registered you for this mothers group and it starts in this week. So just go home and then you'll go to this community centre and meet all these mums in a mothers group. There's a midwife there that runs it. And I remember that first week, I had a really tough time with my firstborn. I was said to Michael, I'm like, there is no way I'm going to mother's group. Like, I can't even get out of the house without feeling so stressed and overwhelmed. But he really pushed me to go. He said, just go. So remember, I got Bo in the car and he was screaming in the back seat the whole way there, screaming. I had parked my car. He was still screaming in the back seat. And I thought, I can't get out of I feel so embarrassed to get out of the car with this like really overwhelmed, overstressed baby who just won't stop screaming because I just felt like I was going to get so much judgment because I thought no one else's baby is doing this, which was just crazy. And I actually sat in my back seat with Bo for about 15 minutes crying with him. And I saw these mums walking down the street and I thought they're definitely going to mother's group. And I was seeing them go into the building. I was almost going to drive home and I thought, you know what? No, I'm going to get out of the car and I'm just going to go see what this is about. I calmed Bo down, went in. It was so overwhelming and daunting because it was this like group of 10 mums just all sitting in a circle. I remember I sat down with Bo, and in that moment, he did a massive poo explosion, which went all the way up his back and all through the front of my chest. And and I just thought, I should have never come. I should have never come. Long story short is that afternoon, I ended up connecting with so many mums. We ended up going out for lunch after Mother's Group. And one of those mums is now my best friend in the whole entire world. And the connection that we were able to build and the clarity that just gave me in those moments of need as a first-time mum, the connection that I had with these mums of we're all going through this together, I can honestly say that in itself really helped me out of that funk, the blues that I was going through. That small bit of connection was everything. Just to know you're not alone, you're going through this all at the same time, and just sharing advice, even just having this space to vent, which you can't really always do with your partner in the same way. Oh, that was so powerful.
Yeah. And the connection piece is so important. And on the partner front, your partner can't be everything to you. Like,
No,
you
that's
can't meet
right.
all those parts. And, women sitting in circle is so magical and powerful, let
Yeah.
alone women who are all fresh mothers. All, no one's given me a book on how to do this. I don't know what to do here. I was on a plane recently, and it was a 7.5 hour flight. And the woman in front of us had a screaming child for basically the whole flight. And she kept apologizing and she kept looking sideways. And this poor woman, I just wanted to pull her into my arms and hug her because she was so embarrassed. She had so much shame. People were giving her dirty looks. And about 4 hours into the flight, I actually went over to her and I said, "Hey, you don't need to apologize. I
Yeah.
understand that whatever's happening with your child, that's okay. Like, I'm not judging you." And her whole face welled up as in, oh my God, that's all I needed to hear. Because,
It's really emotional because I've been in that situation before.
yeah,
It's really overwhelming and daunting. And
yeah,
yeah, just to look around and see faces of disappointment in those
yeah.
moments is really hard. I had a colic baby as well, and I had to fly at that stage, and yeah, it's not fun. It's not fun.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
like I could see the levels of distress. And I said to my friend, I need to go and tell her that it's okay. That,
Yeah, yeah. And
she
that would
doesn't.
have just helped her so much in that moment.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, just again, normalizing that it is hard and,
Definitely.
you're being stretched as a human. I think on another practical level, which you touched on this, is making sure that you're fed.
Yes.
It doesn't have to
Yeah.
be perfect, but being fed, especially in the morning, as a woman, our body is so much more sensitive to whether we're eating in the morning or not compared to a man's. And
Yes.
having that breakfast signal to the
Mm.
body that you're safe, you're okay, you're being nourished. And even if all you can get in is like a piece of toast and some avocado or a boiled egg, just something that's going to signify to your body that it's safe and it's being fed is going to support you across the rest of the day
Definitely.
and support your blood sugars and your cravings. And instead of constantly reaching for the croissant or the next sweet thing or the chips, it's hopefully going to be able to set your body up that little bit better just by having something very small in the morning.
Yeah, definitely. It's just so important. Our stress levels are generally always at their highest first thing in the morning, and a nourishing breakfast goes such a long way and can really determine how the rest of our day plays out. So it is a really powerful tool to just commit to having a small, nourishing breakfast. Doesn't have to be anything fancy. Just, yeah, like you said, being fed first thing in the
Yeah.
morning.
Yeah.
Now I
And
want to
coffee is
get,
not food.
yeah, exactly.
Coffee is not food.
Definitely. Now, I want to get into a little bit of the good stuff. We've spoken about so many good things, but I want you to share with us because I'm sure a lot of people are going what is this? Tell me more about it. What is EFT and how can mamas use this wonderful approach to support their health?
Yeah, so EFT or tapping, it stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques. And it looks weird at first, but basically what you're doing is you're tapping on different acupressure points along your body. We're using mainly the face and the upper part of the body. And these acupressure points are based in traditional Chinese medicine. So in the same way that we use acupuncture needles along different points, we're just lightly tapping. And what this does is it sends a calming response to that sort of threat center part of your brain. That threat center is activated by emotions, is activated by things that are happening outside, wild sensations in the body, if that's that tension, that tightness. And so when we're tapping, it sends a calming signal so that your body can shift from this state of stress into a state of calm. And so when we're tapping, we're generally talking about a problem or something that feels uncomfortable for us at the moment, an emotion that we might have, a physical sensation, so that whilst we're talking about the thing that doesn't feel good and how it might be impacting us, we're continuously sending that calming response so that, moving forward, if that thing does happen again, we don't have as intense a physiological response to that, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Rewiring the brain in that response.
Yes, absolutely. It's rewiring essentially that physiological response to whatever kind of stimulus is happening outside. And we can use it very generally. It's a self-led tool that you can use at home, which is what I love, because if you're having a moment where your kids just drop their whole plate of food on the floor and you're like, I literally can't deal with this, you can stand, you can do some tapping for 5 minutes and it will help to calm you down. So we can use it generally in the everyday, and then we can also use it on those much deeper subconscious levels when you're working with a practitioner to figure out, okay, I'm being triggered by this thing in the present right now. What stored memory or past experience that is lingering in my body is being triggered right here, right now. So we can use it on lots of different levels. And the way that this can support mums is on a very generalized level is just helping to reduce that overwhelm. If in a moment of being with their kids, or you drop the kids off to school or daycare or whatnot, and you just feel like your body is really heightened, really glitchy, or like electricity, sitting in the car and doing a few rounds of tapping while you're breathing just helps to calm everything down. And on the bigger things that are happening, your kids may be triggering things from when you were a child. Your partner may be triggering things from when you were a child. Feeling alone as a parent may trigger unresolved feelings of feeling alone as a child. And so we can use EFT on a very deep level to be able to work on that as well. And I like to think of EFT tapping as almost this kind of emotional first aid where we can use in the moment. We can put a band-aid on it and support us in that moment, or we can do these big surgeries where we're really like figuring out what's happening underneath. It is the most impactful tool that I've used for myself and that I've used with a whole range of different things, from anxiety to overwhelm to birth trauma, to fears related to pregnancy and becoming a parent, body image and food cravings and food addictions and binging. We can use it across such a wide range of things because it's working on that emotional level and calming down the nervous system so that you don't have such big responses to things.
And just the wide array of areas that it can support. That's incredible.
Yeah. And I often refer to our nervous system as this bucket. So each of us has this bucket, and each time a stressor or something happens in life, we're late for work, we have an argument with our partner, our kids are frustrating us, it keeps filling up this bucket. And sometimes one thing might tip a cup in, sometimes one thing might tip a jug in, or it might just be little drops. But if that bucket is full and you have no tools to empty that bucket, whether it's a cup or a drop, that thing's overflowing.
Yeah.
When you're getting triggered, it all feels too much, you're overwhelmed, you're frustrated at your kids. And so the way I think of EFT tapping is almost poking holes in the bottom of this bucket so we can release the stress that just builds up in our system.
Yeah, oh gosh, we all need that, don't we?
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
Sarina, you're actually going to walk us through a quick EFT session
Yeah.
that you can do yourself at home right now, if you like. If you're listening, then Sarina will tell you where to tap. But we do also have this available on YouTube as well, so you can watch Sarina walk us through. Sarina has also kindly offered a beautiful download, which we'll put in the show notes as well. You'll be able to download that and follow those instructions as well. But Sarina, I'll let you walk us through, and I'm going to follow your guidance as well, and hopefully everyone at home can follow.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll use something pretty broad and generalized, overwhelm. I'm sure most of us can connect to that in some area of our life.
Yeah.
So if you're listening to this now or you're replaying it, I just want you to start to connect to what that overwhelm might feel like in your body. And start to notice where you feel it. It might be a feeling of tightness or constriction in your chest. It might be in your head. It might be that your body goes hot or cold. So you're going to start to notice where it is and what it feels like. And then I want you to rate how intense it feels right now from 0 to 10, 10 being most intense overwhelm and 0 being not that much overwhelm. And then once you've got that, you can come to the side of your hand, almost where you would karate chop, and you're using 2 fingers. I say you can use your dominant writing hand to tap. I'm a lefty, but you may want to use the other hand, whatever feels comfortable for you. And maybe, Anna, will use you as an example. If you
Yeah.
continue to overwhelm, where do you feel it in your body and what does it feel like?
I'm feeling it's a combination of it in my chest and then also on the surface of my head. Like there's a
Yeah,
little bit of pressure on the surface of my head and then a little bit on my chest.
okay. And which feels like it's the most intense out of your head and your
Mm.
chest? They might
I
feel
would
the
say
same.
I would say at the moment my head,
Yeah.
at the
Okay.
top of my head, I feel this sort of like tension and pressure.
Okay. All right. So we're going to use Anna's example, but wherever you feel that overwhelm in your body, you can just replace your own words. And so I'll get you to repeat after me, and everyone can repeat at home.
Even though
I can feel this tension and pressure on the top of my head.
I can feel this tension and pressure on the top of my head,
It feels like overwhelm
it feels like overwhelm.
right here, right now.
Right here, right now.
All I have to do is notice it,
All I have to do is notice it,
and I accept where I'm at.
and I accept where I'm at.
And we're just going to repeat that 2 more times. So you're still tapping on the side of your hands, even though
Even though
there's this pressure and tension at the top of my head.
there's this pressure and tension at the top of my head,
I'm so overwhelmed.
I'm so overwhelmed.
And I'm just noticing how it's showing up in my body today.
And I'm just noticing how it's showing up in my body today.
Right here, right now.
Right here, right now.
I accept where I'm at.
I accept where I'm at.
We're just going to do it one more time, even though
Even though
I can feel this overwhelm in my body.
I can feel this overwhelm in my body.
It's like tension and pressure at the top of my head.
It's like tension and pressure at the top of my head.
And all I have to do is notice it.
All I have to do is notice it.
Right here, right now.
Right here, right now.
I accept where I'm at.
I accept where I'm at.
And so the fingers you were using to tap on your hand, we're just going to bring them to the crown of your head. And we're going to create a reminder phrase, which is just taking parts of that setup statement so that we're continuously connecting to what that overwhelm feels like while sending the calming response to our body. So again, Anna, we'll use you as an example. You can repeat after me: this tension and pressure in my head.
This tension and pressure in my head.
You're going to come to your inner eyebrow. You can use 2 hands or 1 hand. Just connecting to this tension and pressure in my head. Side of the eyes, just on the very edge of your eye, and you can continue repeating after me. It feels like overwhelm in my body.
It feels like overwhelm in my body.
And then under your eye on that occipital bone, I don't have to shift or change it right now.
I don't have to shift or change it right now.
So that'll be your lip. I'm just connecting to this overwhelm.
I'm just connecting to this overwhelm.
Under your chin, it feels like tension and pressure at the top of my head.
It feels like tension and pressure at the top of my head.
And if you bring your fingers 2 or 3 centimeters below your collarbone, you'll notice a little meaty hollow part in your ribs. We're just tapping there. And again, repeating after me. All I have to do is notice it.
All I have to do is notice it.
Inside of your ribs, all of this tension and pressure at the top of my head.
All this tension and pressure at the top of my head.
Top of your head again. I'm giving my body permission to release some of it now.
I'm giving my body permission to release some of it now.
Back to your inner eyebrow. All this tension and pressure on the top of my head.
All this tension and pressure at the top of my head.
Side of the eye. It feels like overwhelm in my body.
It feels like overwhelm in my body.
Under the eye. All this overwhelm in my body.
All this overwhelm in my body.
Top of the lip. It's like tension and pressure at the top of my head.
It's a tension and pressure in the top of my head.
Under the chin. So I don't have to shift or change this feeling.
I don't have to shift or change this feeling.
Under the collarbone. I'm just connecting to this feeling of overwhelm.
I'm just connecting to this feeling of overwhelm.
Side of the ribs. And then I'm giving my body permission to release some of it now.
I'm giving my body permission to release some of it now.
I'm just taking a breath in and out. And I just want you to recheck in with that feeling. Anna, for you, that pressure in your head, for anyone else at home, wherever that sensation was showing up in their body. And just starting to notice now how it may have shifted or changed. It might ease off a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. I found the tapping in my face really helped.
Yeah.
Me. Just not, felt like when I was really focusing on the pressure, it was getting more exacerbating. But when I started focusing on the tapping in my face, it really started to ease off me even noticing it as much as well.
Yeah. And often we'll find that when we do tune into something, we are putting our attention on it, we are putting our awareness on it, especially when it's emotions, that sometimes it may heighten at first. And then we see it start to come down.
Yeah.
And so the reason that we really get you to focus in on, what that experience feels like in your body, where do you feel it? So whilst you're connecting with that discomfort, you're still sending your body that calming response and that signal that it's safe, so that it's able to actually move through the emotion and process it, because emotion is energy in motion. And when we don't have these tools to process it, it gets stuck. And obviously, this is a very brief example. Usually sessions are about 60 to 75 minutes.
Yeah.
But you can continue going around and just feeling into that sensation, watching that number drop and drop. The sensation might shift, it might move throughout different parts of your body, but just honoring exactly where you're at, teamed with that acceptance statement, helps our body to process whatever's happening for it in the moment.
We'll also make sure that we share in the show notes the download,
Yeah.
Sarina's download, which can help you walk through your own form of it at home. But you can also connect with Sarina. She does at-home sessions as well, don't you, Sarina?
Yeah, I do sessions online and in person. And I always get questions, are in-person sessions, are online sessions as powerful as in person? And I see the same results in person
Yeah.
and online. Obviously, having that face-to-face connection adds more, but you're always tapping on yourself. I'm not tapping on you.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just such a beautiful space to honor exactly what you're feeling. We don't often get space to just share what we're feeling, what's on our heart. We're muddled up in such a toxically positive culture that it's, oh, just think positive or just find the good thing, which is beautiful. But at the same time, the things that don't feel good and that feel hard deserve that attention and to be processed in our body and in our nervous system.
Definitely. Before I let you go, Sarina, can you share with us maybe some of your non-negotiable daily health habits in order
Yeah.
to inspire some others in the community?
Yeah. Obviously, being a tapping practitioner, tapping is
Yeah.
one of them. I always do at least 5 or 10 minutes a day. That might be in the morning if I had not had a good sleep, or before I go to bed, just maybe even talking through some stuff that hasn't felt good in the day with myself and like sending that calming.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that. I actually was just before you said that, I thought I love the idea of trying to do this in my night routine just
Mm.
before I go to sleep. And I thought I actually really want to try it just before I go to bed, just thinking about the day and trying to release the day to help me sleep
Yeah.
better. So I love that.
Yeah, it's a really beautiful practice. And it's one of those things that now I've seen it, I can't unsee it. And I think, how would I get through my life if I didn't have tapping? I tap in the
Mm.
car, I tap if I tap before this podcast, I get nervous speaking, I tap before in between clients just to process whatever's happened. We get into some really big things during sessions. So yeah, 5 to 10 minutes of tapping a day is really
And
important.
it's so practical. Like it's so
Yeah.
practical. It's easy. It's free. It's
Yeah,
just, yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. It's an incredible tool. I try to get outside, even if it's just for five
Mm.
minutes. Nature is so impactful for me. And if I put my feet
Yes.
on the grass, or I look at the ocean, or I just get some sunlight on my body, it changes my whole day.
So powerful.
Yeah, always make sure I'm outside. I'm a very big physical touch person. And actually, I've noticed it impacts my day if I don't have some form of hug with someone. So I always make sure I'm either having a really long hug with my partner or with my flatmate. And not everyone has that relationship with their friends. I'm very lucky that I have very close relationships, but I need some form of physical connection every day to just help me feel grounded and connected to my relationships around me. And that's just making sure I get one hug somewhere.
Yeah.
Hydration, I can't,
Yeah.
these are all basics, but I can't function without adequate water, and making sure that I'm hydrated. I notice it impacts how I think, how I feel.
Definitely.
And for people who have been long term, like chronically dehydrated, when they start drinking more water, it is amazing the change that it has on their digestion, their health, their mood, their capacity to like think clearly. So that's a really big one for me. Obviously, prioritizing good nutrition, making sure that I am eating in the morning. I know for me that my weeks get really busy and my days get really busy. And there was a period of time where if I didn't have food prepared, I just wouldn't eat, or I'd be eating crackers or something that just
Yeah.
wasn't going to help me. Me and my partner will do this on Sundays. Blessed that we have the time. On Sundays, we'll do a really big cook up. And so we've all got containers of food for the week.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
been my personal hack to make sure that there is food for me to eat during the week. You might have something else that works for you, but figuring out a way to make sure you can get food into your body 3 times a day at least, really important.
Yeah.
And my final is showering before bed. And I know this might seem like a basic hygiene thing, but there's something for me about, my friends laugh at me and my partner laughs at me because I cannot get into bed without having a shower. For me, it's like a cleansing ritual and like an energetic thing where if I've been seeing clients all day, I've been working all day, and my body is filled with all these different things, having that shower is my wind down. Like,
Beautiful.
yeah, absolutely. And I always have a shower with a candle lit. I've been doing that now for 2 years. And it's like a envelope seal for the rest of the day.
And it's part of your routine. And I think routine is so important when it comes to nighttime and just switching off and letting your body know that it's time for rest.
Yeah.
So having some form of routine, whatever that looks like, is just so important. And a shower is such a great way to help your body go into that state of it's time for rest and time for sleep.
Yeah. And as soon as that candle gets lit and I get in the shower, my body's, we're done for the day. We're closing off. It's time to read. It's time to wind down. And that's probably my favorite ritual.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love that. And those are all such doable and realistic habits as well that so many of us can add into our routine.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that, Sarina. And where can everyone find you?
Yeah, Instagram is always easy. It is Sarina Coventry _ or my website. I've got lots of articles on there about tapping and how we can use tapping in the women's health space. And that is www.sarinacoventry.com. Reach out if you have any questions from this episode, or grab the download so that you can see the points a little bit clearer. There's instructions on how you can create your own setup statement, which is what we did on the side of our hand. And if one thing you take from this is just learning those tapping points, you don't even have to say anything. Sometimes you can just tap and breathe in and out on each point just to send that calming response to your body.
The body. Love that. Thank you so much, Sarina. I know so many people are going to take so much away from this episode. Thank you for sharing all your beautiful knowledge and walking us through that session. It was so beautiful.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Amazing. Thanks, Sarina.
Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope this conversation has inspired you to live your healthiest, happiest life. Don't forget to subscribe and tune in next week. Bye for now.